Mr. Trimble, I'm not sure he was talking about me or who they're talking about, but that was a very generous welcome. Leslie Accordia, Agin Ushla, it's more an honourable on show and you live done all called special the show. I'm so happy to be here in Arizona for this very special occasion at the Irish Culture Centre and the McClelland Library. I want to thank Leslie Thompson, Chair of the Board, Ciara Archer, the Chair of the Organising Committee, and the ever-present Chaz Moore and Caroline Woodeel, and all the team here for bringing this remarkable celebration over the weekend to fruition. They deserve an enormous round of applause. I also want to pay tribute to the Department of Culture, Heritage and the Gaeltacht in Ireland, who are represented today by John Healy from the International Famine Commemoration. This is the 11th such commemoration that's taken place around the world, the 5th in the United States, but the first ever in the western region of the United States. And these commemorations, I think, are important. They are an opportunity to remember and reflect on our own history, but also to bring the experience of our ancestors into the present day, and to consider how people today are facing the same circumstances and how we might best support them. This has already been a very special weekend, and events here at the Centre and the Library there are events here at the Library commemorating and celebrating, commemorating the Great Famine, but also celebrating the 20th anniversary of this site. And while these two events are separated by a century and a half, they are in many ways intimately connected. Ireland is a small island situated on the west coast of Europe, sitting exposed in the Atlantic. We have a population of our island of about 6.5 million. That's 5 million in the Republic, about 1.5 million in Northern Ireland. But despite our relatively small size, we are in many ways a great global nation, with 70 million people all around the world who identify as Irish descent, 35 million in these United States, and about 1 million here in Arizona. Think of it. From a small island that some view has been peripheral, for many in this world, we are an island at the very centre of the world, as our Taoiseach says. There is no doubt that our global nation was shaped in many ways by the tragic events that happened during the Great Hunger. And it was a tragedy. In a context where half the families of rural Ireland lived in one-roomed mud cabins, each with a small conacre in which they grew potatoes that they ate. 80% of the population of Cork, for example, lived in such homes. And where about 15 million tonnes of potatoes were produced and consumed annually in Ireland, including where an average Irish adult ate about 14 pounds of potatoes, 1 stone per day. In a context where the potato was the indispensable food in Ireland. Over the period of 1845 to 1849, the fall in yield dropped by between 25 and 35%. That famine led to this great hunger and a great exodus from Ireland as people sought refuge throughout the world, and particularly here in these United States. Millions left. And that story of the Irish in the West, I think, is a fascinating one, because when we think of those people who left, we think of the Irish who arrived in Boston and New York, and their story is very important. But as we read the history, we see that those people who landed on the East Coast, those people who had the drive, the skills and the energy, a lot of them went west, because the West was a place of great hope of what could be achieved when they were given the fair shake of the whip and a fair chance to do it. And the Irish came west in massive numbers, drawn by the discovery of copper and gold and other minerals all across these western United States. And they made a huge contribution. I say to people here, it's hard to find a region in the world where the Irish had a more formative impact than in Western America. And one such person I think is kind of illustrative of this is the great Nellie Cashman, Irish-born woman from Cork, who came out, born in 1845, at the start of the famine, emigrated to the US in 1850 into New York, and then came west. She arrived in Tombstone in 1880. She set herself the first task of building the Sacred Heart Catholic Church in Tombstone. She was a founding member of that incredible business community that still thrives today, and she's been inducted into the Arizona Women's Hall of Fame. We're very proud of people like Nellie Cashman, very proud of all the impacts, all the positive impacts that many people who left Ireland and their descendants have made here in the West. But we're equally proud that they did not forget Ireland. They and their descendants took up the baton in their new homes, even though they were several thousand miles away. They retained, and today, as you can see today, still retain enormous pride in their Irish heritage and in their culture. And added to this, they have brought the great energy there is in America, along with the great ambition of how to celebrate that culture. When I look at this incredible setting, here in this courtyard, beside the Great Famine Hall, the Famine Cottage, the fantastic castle and library, and the Famine Memorial here behind me, I think of all those people who made this happen. And I can't help but recall a favourite saying of the great Irish American Bobby Kennedy, drawn as it happens from the Irish playwright George Bernard Shaw. He remarked that some men see things as they are and say, why? I dreamt of things that never were, and say, why not? The people who came together 20 years ago were people who said, why not? Why not a famine memorial that at once both recalls the tragedy of our great famine, but also points us towards a better and more hopeful future? Why not a hall, a meeting place of all the Celtic peoples in Phoenix, inclusive of the Irish and Scots-Irish tradition? Why not a castle in the desert, housing thousands and thousands of books on Ireland and Irish America to serve as a point of study, of learning and of discovery? The centre and the library and the entirety of the grounds of this great and ambitious and above all hope-filled project are a huge testament to the Irish community here in Arizona. It is a testament to the leadership of many, several of whom have sadly passed away, leaders such as Presidential Distinguished Awards awardee Norman McClelland, the irrepressible Bill O'Brien, and two men who I had the absolute pleasure of meeting, both Sean Lee and Sean Pryor. The vision of those people, and that's just to name a few, the vision of those people, those remarkable people, came together to, and their hard work came together to create this very special space. I want to pay tribute to the entirety of this community, to your energy, to your vision, to your passion, and to your ambition for Irish culture and your heritage. I find it personally, as an ambassador for Ireland, as someone who represents Ireland overseas, I find it absolutely humbling. We are delighted to have the centre and the library as a partner here in Arizona, and we wish you well for another 20 years. Now, it is my proud honour to represent our guest of honour today, Minister Patrick O'Donovan. Ministers travel all the way from Limerick, Ireland, to be with us to commemorate the Famine Commemoration. He is here representing the Chair of the National Famine Commemoration Committee, the Minister for Culture, Heritage and the Gaeltacht, Joseph Madigan. Minister O'Donovan was first elected to public office in 2004 for Limerick County Council, re-elected in 2009, doubled his quota, very impressive. And in 2011 was first elected to Dáil Éireann. He was re-elected in 2016 and is now Deputy Minister at our Department of Finance. This is the third time he's travelled to celebrate and commemorate the International Famine Commemoration. And please join me in giving a warm welcome to Minister Patrick O'Donovan.